Ding, we're back. Another week. Smack Talk, episode number 8. Let's get into it. How's things been, my man?
Hey, bro, listen. It feels like it's been a quiet week for Slap because of all the boxing stuff that was going on. But for the casuals, we've been keeping a pulse on things, and we've got a lot of little things that you guys may not have seen. Some updates on some people. I look into some personal lives, not too invasive or anything. And we got some good news about a guy that I know a lot of people like.
Yeah, absolutely, my man. I mean, has there ever been a greater time in combat sports to be alive? MMA, slap, boxing, big events. We're seeing influencer boxing. We're seeing, celebrity matches. I mean, it's seemingly every single week we're getting one or two marquee pay-per-view events all the way now. I mean, literally until July.
I mean, look, Corey, in the 2 week period, you had 2 nights of WrestleMania, you had Power Slap 7, you had UFC 300, and you had Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of a better lineup of 3 weekends consecutively in combat sports history.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean the virality of it all and the showmanship and the way that these, fights are being, promoted now is definitely, capturing that news cycle, before, during, and after, like nothing ever before. So it's really great to see we're seeing those polarizing figures. And I mean, even the UFC for that matter. I mean, look at 300, 301, 302, 303 now starting to shape up, and we're just getting fight after fight after fight. Just kind of to go back on Power Slap number 7, do you feel like we got some clarity going into Power Slap number 8 that we know is from Dana, International Fight Week? I believe it's June 28th, the Friday before 303. Do we feel like this is the calm before the storm before we see a monster card coming out of Power Slap?
Yeah, I think we got clarity in a lot of divisions. I think we got more clouds in some other ones. I think we got more clarity than we've ever had at welterweight with Anthony Blackburn pulling out that upset. I mean, just based on history and what we look at in MMA, Anthony Blackburn should be, whenever the rankings get updated, should be the number 1 contender for the welterweight championship, which means now Manny has a fight. KO Chris has to work his way back. His story kind of takes a little bit of a turn. You still have Jules Scott in the wings. When you look at the light heavyweight contention, when it comes to Turpin, Wolverine, right? I think what Dana said was that the trilogy makes sense, and I think most people agree with that. But when we did our poll, what most people said was that Turpin should fight somebody at light heavyweight, prove he can make the weight, and that he's going to be serious about getting in that division, and then he should have an opportunity to fight for that title again. So I think in that regard, it's not as clear in the light heavyweight division.
Yeah, I mean, certainly agree with you. I think, we're looking here potentially 3, maybe 4 title defenses will take place, whether they like it or not. I mean, the fight business, title matches sell. I think they're going to try to make this work. And I mean, Anthony Blackburn now, I mean, what are we, 2 weeks post Power Slap number 7? I go through Facebook and I don't know if it's just the circles that I'm running in, but I am seeing post after post, not only from him, but from other strikers and from his family members that are still really getting on the Anthony Blackburn train. Like, is he legit or what, Ding? Because there seems to be a lot of hype and momentum from fellow strikers and family and friends kind of pushing him forward. I mean, I know it's a really good feel story. Guy that gets let go from his job, his boss doesn't pay him, goes to Power Slap, on short notice and, undoes the number 1 contender. Is Anthony Blackburn for real?
Yeah, man, I think this is a story that people can get behind for a number of reasons, some of which you just said, but also he was number 6 coming into this fight, has been kind of under the radar, a guy that fights on the tape matches, a guy that people write off. Nobody really knew what to expect from him coming up there, thinking he was going up against KO Chris. The odds showed that people wrote him off, and he comes out there and not only does he beat KO Chris, it wasn't like he beat him by a little bit. I mean, he took care of business out there. With both of the strikes that he delivered were incredible. He puts KO Chris down, faster than Manny did, which I think it should be a nod in your cap. And I really think that Anthony Blackburn cemented himself. If you look at the numbers on YouTube for the post-fight, some of the engagement that these guys have had, Anthony Blackburn's numbers are way higher than I think anybody ever expected them to be. I think a star was born on April 12th at Power Slap number 7.
Yeah, awesome, man. I mean, definitely couldn't have said it any better. You touched on KO Chris Thomas. The rumors have been speculating, and I think it's, fairly public now. Road to the Title Season 3 will be filming here early May. KO Chris taking a very different approach right now in his marketing efforts. We are seeing every single day he's calling on Frank, he's calling Erica for his involvement in Road to the Title #3. I mean, have you ever seen a former champ and a guy that's coming off 2 losses take a marketing stance in this way? Is it good for him? Is it bad for him? Overall, what do you think? He's just trying to stay relevant. I mean, coming off these devastating losses, I think KO Chris needs to take a step back, needs to let his brain heal up a little bit. From my perspective, we also seen a post that he, wants to move to Las Vegas and take up a pro boxing career. But, I think it's one of those things by addition, by subtraction at this moment, taking a bit of time away, getting your head on straight, focusing on really what, matters most in life and trying to get back in that win column. Because 3 consecutive losses for KO Chris, I think is doom and gloom for him, and definitely something that nobody wants to see. So we want to make sure that KO Chris is, staying healthy, able to go. But overall, what do you think? Have you ever seen somebody pushing so hard? I mean, is it a good sign of his heart, or what do you think?
You know what? If he wanted to be a coach and run that back, I could understand maybe wanting a chance to do that over, and maybe thinking that he had some regrets the first time around. Not saying that I would say that he should do it. I would understand it more. But he's talking about anything. He's like, I'll be a catcher. Like, I don't understand any real explanation for why you would want to do those things except for money. And like I said, I don't know his financial situation. I'm not, saying that the guy's suffering. But what I'm saying is there's no other reasonable explanation for wanting that type of involvement than money. Because what meaning does it have to be a catcher for Road to the Title Season 3 if you're not being paid? I mean, I don't think there's any significance to that. I mean, the guy, he goes up there and he's been at the bright lights, and he's been, somebody that's billed at the top of the card. He was the main event for Power Slap 6. The show was run on him and Manny, and I mean, I think that they've given him that opportunity, and unfortunately for him, he squandered it. And so when you look at the chat, you've got Jesse Nutting saying he's begging, it looks bad. You've got Vince saying Chris is begging for money. We see him putting the PayPal, the QR code. I mean, it screams, listen, like I just need to get paid. I think that you handle that business as a professional behind the scenes. You've got their number. I don't know. He's like trying to rile the fans up and get them to help him out. I think this is the wrong way to go about it. I think it hurts KO Chris long term.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing different marketing efforts, and obviously as the rosters of Power Slap continue to increase, they're getting less and less opportunities for these guys until they start adding more cards. I think they're upwards of 150 strikers, on the roster. We're seeing anywhere from 16 to 24 strikers getting opportunity on the number card, approximately 8 weeks apart from each other. So those opportunities are coming few and far between. Road to the Title Season 3. We're probably going to get another 20 strikers on that card. We know there's some new guys coming in and there's some old guys. So we're going to see where that kind of molds. And we're seeing different guys position themselves in different ways. And so it's interesting. Obviously, we don't know when they're going to release Road to the Title Season 3 from what we've been seeing in the past relatively quickly, to be honest. They filmed it in December, Season 1, and they released it in January. The second season, I believe they filmed it relatively quickly as well. I mean, within 4 weeks, they had it up and going. And so we should be able to see something. Maybe we're going to get a gift that keeps on giving. Maybe we'll get 2, Road to the Titles this particular year. Will happen before International Fight Week. I think we're getting a little bit late for that now, but maybe we'll see it coming into a card that ends up being, the end of August, early September. So, who knows at this particular point, but I think they're obviously trying to get some more talent in there. Switching gears to a guy that has been marketing and promoting themselves in a very interesting and unique way. I don't think I've ever seen somebody who's never taken a fight in a weight category be as, pun intended, ballsy as Mr. One, Jimmy Jumps Santa Maria. And now we're seeing other fellow strikers like the Chin Reaper get behind him. This is just one example, but we're starting to see other strikers wanting to see Jimmy Jumps back in action. We know from him, he had a match scheduled at 155 in September. Unfortunately, I think that his personal life made it so that he wasn't able to compete. But Jimmy Jumps continually dropping some of the best lines. I think we get very, very entertained. I'm not even sure what his record's at right now. But for a guy who, for all accounts is irrelevant, seems to be, making a lot of waves across the board.
Let's see what his record is. Hold on, give me a second. Before I make my decision here.
Is it
Let's
0 and 2, I believe?
I hope it's not, because if it is, then I don't think Jimmy Jones is gonna like me very much.
I'm not sure where he's at,
Yeah,
man.
0-2. All right.
All right.
Um,
I know something.
I'm gonna be nice about this, as nice as I can be. Um, if a guy was undefeated, I'd say they're not ready for real deal Trujillo. Uh, you're unvictorious. I mean, uh, I don't know if it's gall. I think it's like insanity. I think it's like delusion, and I think it's probably also needing money. Um, I'm disappointed actually now that I know that he's 0-2. Like now that I knew it in the back of my head somewhere, but now that we've solidified that, I don't even think like I don't even know what to say. I think that it would be silly of us to even talk about it any further now that that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on you. And who has he fought? Can you name who he fought at all?
Not particularly.
Yeah, so it wasn't notable.
I know he's one of the title holders of one of the greatest KOs. When he hit the table, he fell forward. Was it Blackburn actually?
Perfect.
It was Blackburn. Well, yeah, it was Blackburn. KO'd him. Did you remember that? And he fell forward into the table.
He was the original. He was the OG.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to dog on the guy. I know because we talk a lot of times that these strikers don't promote themselves, and when we get a guy going out there making comical and funny, I love it.
Yeah, but I mean, when you got people like Slambo and Paul Teague and Soren Kamsa that we've seen, there's just no way, man. If we want to build a legitimate sport here, which I think we all share in that we do, and us here at Slap News, we want to cover that and we want to make sure that we're putting that in front of whoever we can. That's not the guy that you do it off of, and so I'm not. I hopefully you guys will watch this long enough to know that I'm just gonna shoot straight, whether you like it, whether you don't. I'm gonna be honest across the board. We gave Paul Teague a lot of shit, but Paul Teague got up there and he fought until he got in front of Trujillo. I don't think this guy deserves anything more than that respect that we gave Paul Teague, which, if I'm being frank, we kind of made fun of him. So I don't think that Jimmy Jumps gets any good look.
For sure. Yeah,
there he is. Look, Blackburn's here.
Blackburn's here. Yo, what's up, my man? Yeah, it's funny. We got Vince.
We were just talking about how famous you are, babyface.
Yeah, exactly, man. He's still got some juice going behind him. We got Vince asking me if I'm okay. Sound a bit on the weather. Yeah, I actually feel like complete dog shit, bro. I got myself out of bed to be here, but no excuses. The show's got to go on. So we keep on moving, my man. But yeah, had a crazy week, crazy month, actually. 3 events, 3 back-to-back weeks in Vegas. Slept in my own bed for 2 nights of the last, 3+ weeks. So just catching up to me. But we'll be back at it, my man. Don't miss a beat. But on a lighter note, I'm going to give this one to you, Ding, all right? I want you to start it off because I'm sure you were riveting over the entire, gender reveal of Amir Nuruddin.
Well, first things first, congratulations to Amir. This is interesting on a lot of ways, right? I'm not one to judge somebody's parental aspirations or their ideology, but I will say, if he decides at one point or another that he wants to put this part of his life behind him, it's going to be incredibly difficult to do that. And I think long term, he may regret this moving forward, depending on how this all turns out for him, particularly if there's some sort of negative condition that arises later on that he attributes to this sport or his participation in it. Welcoming your first child, which again, much congratulations to him. Hate to be the spoiler, but it's a boy. From at least if my eye serves me right, and it was blue. But I think he made things a little bit. It's almost like you got a tattoo of Power Slap on his body here, right? Like you did something that really makes Power Slap a part of your life more than it has been, and it can't be a job. And I just think long term that may not be something that he's going to be proud of moving forward. But it is what it is. Like I said, I'm not dumping on the guy. I think it's a pretty interesting way to announce a baby,
Yeah.
slapping a bob.
I mean, it's creative, my man. One of the most creative things that I've seen. I've never seen someone with that level of passion, dedication. Congratulations to both him, and his girl for, having a boy coming into the world. Very, very, it's got to be a great girl to be able to approve of this and, back him through and through wherever his journey goes in Power Slap. We wish him obviously nothing but the very best. And I'm sure we will have a little Power Slapper coming into the world in 18 to 21 years, whenever the age limit is for it. So great to see Amir Nuruddin. But let's switch gears. Is there anything in the comments we need to get up to date with?
Nope. Right now we're it looks like we're doing a praise fest for Anthony Blackburn.
Oh, really? Anthony, check your DMs, buddy. You want to come in and get praised some more? Let me know, dude.
Turpin, man, have you seen Turpin posting on socials lately?
I have, man. He seems to be working. Talk to me.
Yeah, I saw. I've seen quite a bit of gym stuff.
Mhm.
He's kind of, I guess, I mean, you've seen that before, right? With the accountability, you post that you're at the gym, so other people see that you're at the gym, but it's also so that you see that you're at the gym, and it helps you because you're like, you feel like you're gonna get judged, and man, you're like a fucking genie, dude. Like these people just show up. Let's get Blackburn in here, man.
Let's go, Blackburn. What's happening,
There
my
he is.
man?
Kendama King, dude. I didn't know what that was. I'm gonna just be fully honest.
Now you know.
Until you came on pre-fight, you came on here, and you talked about Kendama. And when the show was over, I was like, "What the fuck is Kendama?" and I've learned, and I saw the video of you doing it, expertly. And I don't know if that was before or after your match, somewhere behind the scenes. And I was totally impressed. And I can't do that, but I enjoyed watching you do it.
That was those high limits at the Red Rocks, probably the only kendama I would think ever in the Red Rocks high limit room.
Yeah, man. Let's talk about this, man. Are you like a saint or a cult in the kendama world right now? I mean, you're putting them front and center in Power Slap. I mean, I've never seen, going through Facebook, other strikers are now getting involved. They're buying kendamas. You're putting kendama around your neck and getting views for this sport that it probably hasn't had in a very, very long time.
So it is that in itself, just that. Like, it is views from eyes that otherwise would never be seeing kendama in general. A fighter's type of atmosphere wouldn't see a skill toy per se in their feed or anything. And now being able to bring it into our group of passionate people, but when it kicks off to when people are starting to realize that it's a beneficial tool to the everyday life, that's when I've made my mark. You know what I'm saying?
That seems to agree, Blackburn. They're like, I've never seen it until I saw Blackburn with it.
And it changes your life, bro. I'm telling you. It's not coming at any other kind of hobbies or anything like that. The community behind kendama, when you come in as a new person, you're pushed and driven with such positivity in this community that it just helps you in all aspects of life. There's so much positivity behind it that you have no choice but to bring that aspect into every part of your life. And that's why will forever be a adamant, kendama supporter.
Yeah, absolutely, my man. Your star is still rising. Come on, impressive victory. We see the social still on fire, my man. Every time I open up Facebook, from family members, friends, still pumping your tires. Are you feeling it? Are you feeling the support behind you still?
It's crazy. I feel it 100%, but it just still doesn't set in my mind. I'm still the normal guy and going to do my normal thing. And I need to get on that next level to where I need to, all right, we're shifting gears and we're gripping and ripping now. We need to fucking start making motion. So that's where I'm at. I'm stuck in between of a nice limbo where I'm like realizing where I'm at and still being humble.
Gotcha. How's the recovery coming? I know you had a big bruise on your arm that was pretty well from your elbow to your wrist. How's that coming along?
hmm So now I'm able to, you're able to extend and stretch your forearm when you supinate. I'm able
Mhm.
to do that without feeling any pain now. I can supinate, fully stretch it out. I'm not having any tightness in the muscle, so I'm almost to where I'd be comfortable starting to train again.
Awesome, my man. Great to hear. Did you get your Bitcoin wallet set up? I know you're the first ever crypto winner. Did you figure all that out?
And I will figure it out. We're in the means of it. I have to do some research right now. Uh, Erica just messaged me a YouTube clip of how to identify my wallet account so I can get paid. So that's where we're at. I'm getting YouTube shorts from Erica on how to get my wallet identity, and we'll get paid.
Awesome, man. Yeah, great to hear, man. I mean, what else going on in your day-to-day life right now? I mean, are you back at work? You're not, and you said you're hoping to get back to training, but what are you doing to pass the time?
Right now I'm in the kind of world tour mode, if you will, going and seeing family. I went and saw my niece and my brother this weekend. We played a little par 3 golf yesterday. It was really nice. Get out and do something normal for once
Yeah.
with the family. It was really cool. But
Yeah.
I'm just doing that whole thing, seeing family,
Yeah.
getting the congratulations, riding the wave a little bit. And
Mhm.
I feel we'll start hunkering down, getting back to training
Yeah.
another week or two.
Nice. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not, but John Davis posted some comments in regards to Manny's post with his shirt off and saying, "You're looking a little chubby there, Manny. I might need to come down to 170 to take your belt." What do you think of that?
you know, if John Davis wanted to make his way to 170 before defending his belt against someone else at 185, he needs to do what he wants to do. If he feels that Manny's the threat, then I
Yeah.
support it. But
Or is
I
it
feel
Mr.
like
Blackburn the threat?
I don't know, man. Are they because Manny's posting he's a little chubby, and I know that weight cut's going to be pretty particularly hard after
Mhm.
bulking for a little while.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's a difficult thing to be dropping 15 pounds when you've been putting on muscle and doing work in the gym.
Totally. Dang.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna go for champ, I think 70 and 85 is probably among some of the more tough pairs to sort of try and do both, just because of the weight discrepancy being 15 versus 10. But I guess in power slap, because of the way the divisions are set up, that's kind of par for the course. In this case, it would probably be the easiest because it's 15 from 70 to 85, 20 from 85 to 05, and then you could be whatever at heavyweight. So maybe I digress. I think I might have just talked myself out of that. But if John Davis can make 170, that'll be a sight to behold. That's a big dude.
And
I don't know if 170's in his cards.
Manny was a middleweight. He
Mhm.
has had almost half of his matches at middleweight now. So for him to want to go back up is probably just normal. He doesn't want to be cutting and cutting and cutting and getting smaller. Obviously,
Mhm.
progression is the mainstay here. If
Yeah.
you were to bulk back up and challenge for 185, where does that leave the 170s? He came down and conquered. Where does that leave all of us? Is he trying to
Mhm.
leave us all in the dust?
I know
Yeah,
you were just saying it was like thing. Let me go
no, yeah, and I think the other thing is when you think about John Davis in the middleweight division. I mean, I just think the guy's sitting on top of a mountain with a village that's got nobody in it. I mean, right now there's no clarity in the middleweight division. Corey and I touched on clarity from Power Slap 7 a little earlier, and I said that in your division there's probably the most clarity now because of what happened with Turpin and the weight miss and everything, and him ended up winning. We know that there's got to be a third fight. We just don't know how that happens, and we don't really have a path to that. We understand that you're the number one contender for welterweight, assuming the traditional rules are going to be followed. You beat number one, you become number one. Middleweight is still kind of in this weird place. Super heavyweight again in a weird place. A DQ, somebody beats number one by DQ. What do you do there? And then heavyweight, Damian DeBell's sitting on top of a mountain full of villagers that he's already slaughtered. So where's the next heavyweight standout? I think welterweight is really where you have the clearest path to what's next.
So then that leaves that where I've been questioning is what comes next for main events. That's where I've been racking brain and trying to figure out the cards in the future is where does this next main event stand? Because it definitely isn't the welterweight title. I think if anything, it would have to be the super heavyweight title.
Yeah.
Is the main event.
I agree with you. I think they're going to push Evian Scott to go up against the Crazy Hawaiian.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen, to be honest with you. I think the Crazy Hawaiian's a massive name. He's got the popularity behind him. International Fight Week, they're going to want him on that card. And I think the most logical sense is Evian Scott. We can debate whether he's ready or not, but I think it makes a lot of sense to push that young superstar. I mean, we've seen, kind of the same thing with Nate Bernard. What was it, 2 matches and a title shot? Austin Turpin, we've seen they push through the ranks as well. So, I mean, Evian Scott now, the way that they've done some of these guys in the past, I think, we could see him elevate his, stock up. And, I think, us purists of the sport will kind of debate whether he's ready or not. But for a guy like him, I think it's a story that they can sell. I think he's a very good, good story, backstory. I think he has an opportunity there potentially to come in and get that main spot. But I just wanted to talk. I mean, you touched on Erica reaching out to you to get your wallet ready to go. Has the Brass of Power Slap reached out to you at all about the future? Anything they want you to do?
Other than that, not yet. It's just been figuring out the wallet. I'm sure they're racking brain just like we are, trying to figure out what's next for everybody. Obviously, there's a lot of roads to go down. There's a lot of things to consider, but coming up, it's we're in for some shit because right after the event, we all got emails for get your passports ready and all that stuff. So I imagine this summer being pretty huge when it comes to expanding internationally and whatnot.
Yeah. We heard rumblings of that as well. I mean, I think it's great that they're reaching out to all their strikers, making sure they have their passports if they want to be able to get ready to go international. I don't know the system in the United States, but I've heard rumors that it's like up to 4 to 6 months potentially for some to get a passport in the United States. I'm sure there's some way you can expedite that, but I think you should get on it, my man.
Oh yeah, that's definitely happening this week.
Spend that crypto coin. That's how you expedite it.
Yeah.
Or I guess
take this and give me my passport.
All right, I'll say this on record because I like receipts. Here are my 3 main events for Power Slap 8. Blackburn versus Manny. DeBell versus Dorian. Davis versus Drain. Those are the 3 that I'm going for that will be the main event. I don't think
really
somebody who's 1 and 2 and their lone win is DQ is not championship. You'd be doing a disservice to the Crazy Hawaiian to put him in that situation. I do think you see the Crazy Hawaiian as a coach at Power Slap 8. And I think that makes more sense. As far as middleweight goes and welterweight, we haven't seen those. Well, welterweight was just defended back at 6. I don't know if DeBell makes that turnaround. I don't think he needs to. He's been a champion for so long. He's racking up quite a bit of coin. He doesn't have any kids. He's just trying to put his money in a law school. So I don't know that he is motivated per se to make that turnaround quickly like that. So I'm leaning more towards middleweight, welterweight. I don't believe super heavyweight is Power Slap 8. I don't think there's a reasonable contender.
So do you think I had this kind of in my mind too? No title fights for 8.
Only if you have a celebrity. Only if you have like celebrities or something.
But then set it up to where you have another, like we were for Power Slap 1, where it's 4 title matches at 9, with the winner of the Road to the Title 3 coming out for the lightweight championship, the welterweight, middleweight, and super heavyweight, all on Power Slap 9.
Well, then why would people watch 8 then? You know what I'm saying? Like, what huge contender fights are going to get people to come out to watch 8?
New guys, maybe, potentially new people, if that's what it's coming down to.
I mean, is it impossible that they air the show that soon? No, but we've never seen them do an event while the show's airing. They usually pull either 8 or 12 weeks, and then they do a culminating event. My concern, and I was going to mention that earlier, is that if they do 12 weeks, that means we have 12 weeks of no power slap events, which is the exact opposite of what Dana said they want to do. So hopefully they don't go down that road. I'm not saying anything that's not public. Dana has said they're going international in October. They'll be in Abu Dhabi for the UFC. That's always what they've done. They have a deal with Abu Dhabi. I don't see why the power slap fighters would not be asked or set up to go out there and do something in October. I think we can expect an international event in October, just based on what Dana said, based on what the rumblings are about the passports. It just makes sense. And so I think when you talk about 8, the only wild card I can see is if you give Trujillo a championship and you find somebody, I don't know who, convince somebody to go down to 55 who's at 70, that's maybe on a streak or something, maybe a babyface Blackburn or something, and face Trujillo for the first lightweight championship. I think you do a power slap 8 that way, you probably will be able to, like you said, get the other titles kind of segued off. Or maybe you see a women's championship, right? Maybe you do Jackie and Sheena the rematch for a champion. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. I think I'm getting crazy now, but I'm just saying. I think that a wild card here does make things very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, but Dana also said running back 3 between Turpin and Wolverine was gonna, happen. Obviously, the contract wasn't signed, but it seemed like it was something that he wanted to have. So I think we got to make sure we've got that on there. But let's bring in the champ, not from welterweight, but middleweight. John Davis, how you doing, my man?
Ooh. Doing pretty good. How are you gentlemen this evening?
Good, man. Loving the quality of your mic. Did you upgrade?
No, it's the same Turtle Beach headphone that I normally have. Maybe it's just because my Wi-Fi is working right. I don't know.
Oh,
awesome, my man. I'm sure you heard us talk about a little bit about your comment that you made on Manny's photo. You probably heard what Blackburn had to say. What's your kind of thoughts and feelings and all that? Could you come down to 170?
Absolutely. I've let that be known in the past that a few months ago when things were still kind of up in the air about when the next fight was going to be, I did a little bit of a test cut. I've gotten down to 177. So only being 7 pounds away is not that big of an issue. I just want the proper amount of time before a fight to be able to, cut the weight and not get down there with any sort of water weight to cut. But I absolutely could do that, if they were willing to give me the opportunity.
What's the proper amount of time you need?
Probably
at least 6 weeks. 6
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah. Be careful, bud, because I fucking came in. We landed 72 at the Apex. Went out to eat with the boys. Next day, 77 or something like that. I was like, oh, now I got to go to the sauna and be like,
nope.
I don't want to do that again. It was scary to make 170. I was like sweating buckets for no reason.
Yeah, I would make sure before I even got on the plane that I was already, at least within 1 pound, and then I would stay that way the entire time.
Yeah. Don't make that mistake. Don't go to Denny's with the boys.
Oh God, no.
No Denny's diet, no IHOP pancakes. Avoid that whole mess.
Right.
John, what do you think? I mean, obviously you were there as a coach. How do you feel with where the sport is at now? From being an OG, let's just talk primarily about the welterweight and middleweight division. The overall health of it. Where is it at now compared to where it was, Power Slap 1?
The welterweight division, I think, has definitely popped off with, big names between, Anthony coming off that crazy win that he just had. That was, a hell of a show and a spectacle for everyone. He just made a statement in the welterweight division. Emmanuel just made a statement winning the title in the welterweight division. Cole Young's been a known name in the welterweight division, even though was it you he had the draw with, Anthony? Okay, well, still, that's a hell of a fight that very well could lead up to, you guys being a contender for a title fight, or in the future, a rematch as a title fight. So I feel like 170's definitely, got its group of growing stars and whoever else they bring in. 185, I don't know, maybe it's just my personal bias, but I'm not super impressed with everyone that's come in new or old at this point. You know, like here's my thing. If someone had made a statement, I would have a fight already. How many events have I had to wait, not due to injury or anything like that in the past? Obviously, those ones make sense, but I haven't been able to compete since Power Slap 5, and I haven't heard anything yet. So, you know, that's a hot minute to be waiting on a contender for, you know, for a fight. I mean, I'm just kind of hung up in limbo right now, and it is what it is. Someone's either got to step up and make a real big statement, or I have no choice but to try and chase other weight classes and other people to fight. You know, I'm tired of sitting here at home. I don't want to go coach again. I love the privilege, but I also want to get up there and do the damn thing.
You don't think Wesley has done enough as the number 2 and knocking out Travis to earn it?
Well, here's my thing. It doesn't matter what I think. If they wanted that fight to happen, it would have happened already.
Right.
You know, every time I've talked to the powers that be, I tell them I don't care who it is. I just give me a fight. You know, I haven't turned anyone down. I haven't had any sort of inkling to not take a fight for any reason at all. So it's just been kind of radio silence. And then whenever I do, either I call them or they get a hold of me once in a blue moon to see what's going on and what hopefully is going to be next. I'm just waiting. And it's rather boring, I must say.
Well, it's definitely not for a lack of trying. Obviously, they tried to run Azael and Static back, try to get a clear winner from that.
Absolutely.
Didn't quite go their way. You know, I was, you know, high on Vern Cathy's horn, trying to see if I get anything out of him of potentially coming down. You know, both on his lives and in person. You know, do you think a guy like Vern has done enough, especially with the win streak that he's on, to come down to middleweight and get an automatic title shot? Or do you think someone like Static's going to battle him out at 185?
That's a big boy, dude. That's a big motherfucker.
He says he can make it. He claims he can make it. So,
No, that would be a good challenge.
Boy.
That would be a good challenge, I think. I told him that I would gladly take that fight, but I want him to make weight and be healthy. I don't want him coming in, you know, I don't want him coming in dragging because he had to cut a whole bunch of water weight and it be some sort of issue.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the diet doesn't seem to be too clean. He seems to be eating well. He seems to be drinking well. Every time I check his IG out, he does eat good. He does eat good for sure. So we know he walks around upwards of 215, 217. Blackbird, I don't know what you're doing, buddy, but it looks like you're doing.
Yeah, what are you eating? What are you eating?
What do you mean?
Are you seasoning?
Looks like he's doing a line of blow. He just.
No, man. It's green, not white. Green,
Okay.
green.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
I thought you were.
Jesus
It
Christ.
looked like you were pouring the thing on ramen.
Yeah, I ate, but I wish it was ramen. That sounds really good right now.
That's too funny. But yeah, I mean, Vern Cathy, like say, definitely big dude. Oh, so we lost John Davis there. But yeah, big dude. Would definitely be interesting to see if that would happen. But overall, Anthony, you're feeling good. You're feeling ready. You're going to answer that call no matter what it is next.
Oh, I feel like this, if I get some time, if I get some serious time, like 6-7 weeks, you're going to see me, like Terp said, you might see me with a 6-pack. You know, I haven't gone out there shredded yet. You might see a boy shredded at that point.
Awesome, buddy. We appreciate you joining us always, my man. All the very best. Okay, train hard, recover well. We'll see you back up there real soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Awesome, ding. There we go, Anthony Blackburn. John,
he's back.
Oh, John's back. Let's bring John.
I think you got disconnected for a second.
We lost you there. Did we say something that bad that you had to leave?
No, I'm not offended. Believe me, my comment section's way worse than anything you guys are going to say to me today.
It's actually been quite tame, my man. And we got the regulars in there being pretty respectful. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I only said something bad about Jimmy Jumps, and I tried not to. But once we acknowledged that he was 0-2 and he's like chirping shit online saying he wants Trujillo, I was like, oh man, I can't, bro. Like we got Paul Teague for less, so we can't let Jimmy Jump slide. You know what I mean? John, could you match make Power Slap 8 for us, man? Like if you had to figure out what the marquee looks like at Power Slap 8. Given the landscape now, what would you say is the main event? We're kind of puzzled here.
I mean, in all reality, because of how things typically go, I would say super heavyweight, current champ against Avion, because he technically is number one. He went out there and he got dropped, but got right back up. Didn't seem like it was that big of an issue for him to overcome. So, I think he would be the main event more than likely, just because that's usually how they do it with the weight wise.
What about the rest of the main card? Any inside track or any dream matchups you'd like to see that make sense?
I mean, at this point, honestly, at least for welterweight, Blackburn coming off that win from Chris, I think really opens him up. If they want to run that gives them, I think that green lights him to go up for a title shot right away.
What about middle? You want to get on there, my man?
I mean, absolutely. I think I should be the main event in all reality, and it should be against anyone and everyone they want me to go up against. But like I said, I'm still waiting in the wings. Light heavyweight. They're supposed to be running that back as long as all goes accordingly, if I'm not mistaken. So, and as for heavyweight, I guess I really would have to look at the rankings again. I think Ryan's still sitting at number one. So, whether he gets a contender match and they don't have a title match at that point, could be really anybody. I'd have to go back through again and look and see who's coming off a good win at heavyweight.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe your record is 5-1. That loss was at heavy, was it not? Very, very early on.
Dorian.
Yeah.
Dorian Perez. Oh, crazy.
A good friend of his, which is interesting. That's funny. So speaking of Dorian, I don't know if you're in here for this, John. I said I thought Dorian versus DeBell makes sense at heavy. When you consider everybody else who's in that lineup, and Dorian's coming off of a win over Brian Ellis. And you look at middle, I just think Wesley by default. I've been on here before. I got a lot of shit for it. I said I didn't think Wesley should get a title fight right now. I didn't think there was an appetite for it. But to your point, your last match was October 25th, 2023. We're going on in 2 days. That'll be 6 months. By Power Slap 8, that'll be 8 months. I just think that's a long time to keep a champion on the shelf. Yes, you were a coach, great. But I don't think that necessarily helps you propel yourself, which you deserve to be because you're the champion of the damn sport. You've grabbed the middleweight championship and you held on to it. You haven't lost it. Can't say the same for all the other championships. You can't say the same for the heavyweight. You can't say the same for the light heavyweight. You cannot say the same for the welterweight. You can say the same for the super heavyweight, but it came later on. So you're the longest reigning champion that there is. I just think you deserve an opportunity to showcase your skills more often than you've had. And so I think if you force that, then Wesley's the only one that really makes sense. If Bordeaux was to get it because of all the stuff that he's saying, I'd be surprised. But based on your logic, you guys are saying Evian for super. I think you have just as much of an argument then with somebody like Bordeaux, if that's the case. If we're going to do Evian at super coming off of a DQ win and his only win to this point.
Yeah, but Ellis also won by DQ and Dorian lost, buddy.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I was gonna say, I had to think for a minute. I was like, I don't think he's coming off of a win.
Yeah, I was thinking in my head as I said it, but I'm like, I doubled down. I'm like, fuck it, you're right, dude. Because I remember him saying, "Get the fuck out," was nothing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, Dwayne Crespo, my man. I mean, he's coming on a couple of victories again. Obviously we've seen that match. We've seen how it went, but he's a couple back-to-back victories. We know he's up there in the top of the rankings. John, I mean, seeing the number of, disqualifications, I believe we had 3 matches, Power Slap number 7 decided by DQ. How many did we have at Power Slap 6? At least 2, potentially 3.
Yeah.
What do you think that does for the sport overall, getting, that amount of disqualification victories and how it really places, the brass of Power Slap when they're matchmaking, for the next event?
It's not good. I can tell you that much. It affects the quality of the show. Imagine watching a UFC fight and basically a quarter of the fights end up in an eye poke or, some sort of illegal move that ends the fight, because that's basically what's happening during our show. And it's not like our fights are way shorter. So the short amount of time you get to be able to display what it is you've been working on and what it is you've come out there to do gets taken away from you. I mean, like Azael, for example, one hit, fight's done. You know, granted, he ate a hit. I'll give him the credit. He ate a hit, but you know, he throws one hit, fight's over. He had 2 more rounds to be able to end that cleanly, because obviously he's got the power. If he just drops his hand like 2 inches, you know, he's in the clean zone. So it's little things like that I think are really hopefully become addressed in the future, if not already not have been to people. And, you know, I don't think people should necessarily be getting in trouble for it and fined for it. But at some point it's going to get to a degree where if it's happening still, there's probably going to be some sort of repercussion or, you know, lay off until you can. I don't know how you prove otherwise that you've worked on it, except for coming out there and, you know, not getting DQ'd. But I know they're not happy about it. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I hear you, man. You know, we appreciate you joining me. Do you want to play Vanna White on our Slap News garage sale, John?
No, I'm gonna actually get
He's
back
not?
to working out
All right,
now that
buddy.
you bring that up.
All right, my man. We appreciate you. Ding. Let's get to it. This week, we've got Kalani Vakamailoa selling his entire gym set. So if you find yourself in Hawaii in need of weights, Kalani is selling them. I don't know what he's doing and how this is going to help him train and prepare for his next Power Slap match, but hopefully he's got a plan in place. So take a look if you're in Hawaii and need some weights. Some of the lighter guys maybe need to add some extra muscle. Kalani is your man. Check him out. On the other side, we've got Donovan Cross in Arizona with a 4 Winds open bow boat for sale. $20,000. Ding. Me being the ignorant Canadian that I am, why would you have a boat in Arizona? Is it not the desert?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, man. Maybe it's like kitted out and it's got feet or something. You know what I mean? Maybe it's like a land boat.
A land boat?
Yeah, or he's putting it in like a pond behind his house or something. You know what I mean?
Don't they just call it a camper? A land boat.
Nah, but it's a boat, you know? Fuck it. Let's just call it what it is. It's a boat.
Yeah. So
Yeah, Kalani, blonde Kalani, man, I like it. He's blonde now, and you know, every time we've seen blonde in the UFC, it usually works out for you know, Charles Oliveira, Derek Brunson for a short period of time. So maybe this is the comeback. I don't know, or maybe this is the retirement because he's throwing his shit away. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. All right, my man. We got one last feature here. I know we're getting about 45 minutes in here. But Darius Metaverona, we haven't heard from him too much. We've seen him do a little stint on Card Jiu-Jitsu, which is posted up on their YouTube channel. You can head over there and check it out. But this past weekend, we see him take place in a pretty cool feature. I apologize in advance if this audio is a little bit louder than our current voice. I'm not trying to make that adjustment, but I'll play the clip and we'll come back and we'll talk about it. But Darius hitting the power cube.
51,587. 51,587. 45,855. Knock down that pole. 37.
There we go. 51,000. Darius hitting the power cube. Kind of an interesting thing. They're getting the, the Guinness Book of World Records around that particular event. Do you have any details on that event? Correct me if I'm wrong. It was on 420. This particular event, correct, Ding?
Yeah, it was on 420. I'm just trying to see really quickly if I can from a stats perspective how he ranks up. I think that's probably on par with Ryan Phillips.
Yeah,
Ryan's still a little higher,
56. 56, okay.
56, but Dwayne Crespo's lower at like 49.
Yeah.
And DeBell is 50. So that's actually higher than DeBell. If he really was able to hit 51. I would say though, if you look at his feet, had like a double pivot going on there.
Okay.
It's mild, but you can't move that other foot. So
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really matter that much if you can't generate that same amount of power using the legal strategy. You know, and it was interesting to see that dwindle down, right? 51.45 or 47, whatever it was, and then 39, he went down even more. So
Yeah, on the Power Slap website, it's showing 36 on their
Yeah,
particular.
that's astronomical. Maybe he's on TRT or something. That's interesting. That's a big fucking jump.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the setup looks a little bit different too. Obviously, being on a pole and looks like the athletes will be able to stand kind of beside it. The one in regards to the one that Power Slap uses fairly close to the wall. So it might be stance might have played into it, but really cool to see it kind of happen, take place. See Darius back at it. He's not one of the most social people. He keeps to himself. Takes care of business. A guy that we haven't really talked too much about. I know there were some rumors swirling around. Pre Power Slap 7 that we might see him back, but we didn't. It's too bad there wasn't a guy like him, as an alternate ready to go. For a guy like James Stonier, to go up against with Corey Corbin, unfortunately not being able to get medically cleared, would have been great to have a guy like Darius Metaverona there. For an instance where some of these guys that didn't make medical or didn't make weight, because we also had the Bell Phillips. Too bad that he wasn't in the wing, but it would be nice to see him kind of come back. I always feel like, in a lot of ways, Darius is still that bar in a lot of ways to prove if people are legit in the top of that category or not. I don't know how much of that is based off his track history and the victories that he's been able to, amount together. But, the guys that seemingly have beat him in Power Slap have, gone on and had good careers, and we view them in very, very high light. So I still think he's kind of that gatekeeper in that heavyweight division. And we'd love to kind of see him back. I mean, we have Cooper Housley, phenomenal strike. I know we talked about it last week. Could a guy like Darius and Cooper Housley kind of go up square against, maybe in the potential future and give Cooper that opportunity to prove if he's legitimate to kind of get a shot in that top 5, 6 in the division. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, he had an incredible performance, like you said. And what I think is unusual about that is that we know all the results of the undercard matchups, which in the past it's usually kept pretty under wraps. Now it's that's like public. I mean, it's all over the place for all three of those matchups. I was pretty surprised by that because it takes away the mystique, and it almost makes it so that those like taped matches were kind of pointless. You could have just delivered that to the fan base in that moment, and you may have gotten more viewership because you would have started earlier. Maybe you catch more traffic. I mean, I don't know. I wonder what went behind the kind of thinking of that. Because we've seen them do events without that. Like at 6, they didn't do any tape fights.
Yeah.
So I wonder why they reverted back. Then we had all the kind of back and forth at the very end. Are these taped? Are they not? I said it personally on the stream. You were in Vegas. I was reading it off the site, and it was written as if those fights were going to be live. You had strikers going on their socials telling their fans they were going to be live, and then they ended up being taped. It just didn't make a ton of sense. But I'm glad we were able to see that Cooper Housley is definitely a viable contender in this division. I think heavyweight is very difficult because the champions beat numbers 1, 2, and 3. 4 is coming off of a loss. 5 has only got 1 win. 6 is coming off of a loss. 7 is coming off of 2 losses, but he hasn't fought. He was supposed to fight Corbin. And then 8 is the gatekeeper you're talking about. So you're going to get all the way down to number 9, Cooper Housley, who's the last person with a win. I mean, that's a if you can do a number 9 to championship fight in Power Slap, I think we're off to a bad start.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen for sure. But definitely an interesting situation there to say the least. But let's wrap it up, Ding. I mean, I think it's been a good week. We're able to get it done. Keep on rocking. Back next week, as we know. Dana talked about it, potentially opening up a new state was supposed to come, relatively soon. So maybe we'll get some news from Power Slap and more states opening up for the actual, sanctioning of slap fighting. Till next time, check us out on Instagram, slap_news. If you're not doing so already, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. So every time that we go live, you get those notifications. We're out for this week, my man.